As the Israelite people faced oppression, a woman conceived a son. Now, this son would narrowly escape the genocidal machinations of a king intent on preserving his power. One day, as God's chosen servant, this son would grow in wisdom and rescue his people from the chains that bound them. And this man was Moses. And the numerous links between the story of Moses and the story of Jesus are not coincidental. The writers of the gospel accounts were well acquainted with Moses and the Exodus story. When we read the life of Moses, we should, quite often, see parallels to the life of Jesus. In fact, many of the individuals who lead the Israelite people through the Old Testament serve as types that Jesus would fall into. But the primary difference is that Jesus isn't just a type. Where it would be easy for us to say that Jesus is like Moses or like David or like Elijah, the qualities we are called to most admire in these people and the actions that draw our minds to the life of Jesus are reflections of him, not the other way around. Moses is, in some ways and in his best moments, like Jesus. David is, in some ways and in his best moments, like Jesus. Elijah is, in some ways and in his best moments, like Jesus. If you've read the book of Exodus, it's easy to see several links to other places in Scripture in the infancy story of Moses. The ones I've noted above are certainly links forward to the birth and early infancy of Jesus. But let's look at the rest of the story in chapter 2. The woman conceived and bore a son, and when she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she took for him a basket made of bulrushes and daubed it with bitumen and pitch. She put the child in it and placed it among the reeds by the river bank, and his sister stood at a distance to know what would be done to him. Now the daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe at the river, while her young women walked beside the river, and she saw the basket among the reeds and sent her servant women as she took it. When she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby was crying. She took pity on him and said, "This is one of the Hebrew children." Then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call you a nurse from the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you?" And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." So the girl went and called the child's mother, and Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages." So the woman took the child and nursed him. When the child grew older, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, because, she said, "I drew him out of the water." Now, this story may not immediately seem like it draws many parallels to other parts of the Scriptures, and you'd be absolutely justified in thinking that. But I want to do a quick bit of word study with you. In verse 3, we're told that Moses' mother uses a boat covered in pitch to hopefully preserve her son for his journey in the river. It seems odd to us for a number of reasons. Why not try and flee with the child instead of placing him in the river? What was her hope for this small vessel? In any case, those particulars are less important than what the Hebrew text says. The word that we translate as basket here, tabah, is only used for one other purpose in Scripture, the Ark of Noah. Now, you may not know about this ark, but there is also another ark in the Bible, the Ark of the Covenant, which will appear later in the book of Exodus. But even if Noah's Ark and the Ark of the Covenant share English spelling, they are not the same word in Hebrew. The most common term used for the Ark of the Covenant is Aran. When an ancient reader of the book of Exodus, already familiar with the words of the book of Genesis, arrives at this word, the basket, their thoughts are not drawn just to a basket, but to the pitch-covered boat of Noah. The link here is that just as God provided salvation from the waters through an ark for Noah and his family, now he will provide salvation from the waters for this small child and his family. And it works! The child is rescued, his family is provided for, and a new hope exists for Israel. And the final words about Moses in this little selection tell us something even more important, his name and its meaning. Again, you'd be absolutely forgiven for thinking that the naming of a child after the circumstances of his discovery, that it's purely coincidental. The young princess of Egypt isn't particularly creative, and this is the best name she could come up with. But the name Moses, meaning drawn out, is the whole story of the book of Exodus. God, through the princess of Egypt, draws out Moses from the waters, and God, through Moses, will draw out the people of Israel from Egypt. And this theme of being drawn out is a constant, not just in the book of Exodus, but in the name used to describe God's people in the New Testament, the ecclesia, those who are called out. I love you, and I pray today that you would know that God desires to call you out of captivity. He longs to call you Moses, drawn from the waters. He longs for you to adopt that mantle and then bestow it on others as well. Be the one to draw out and the one who seeks to draw others out.